was part of that summer course, and I hadn't worked in acrylics before, and really the oils I had sort of taught myself. It was just a hit and miss kind of thing. But from that, I went to the art school. Then they changed it after a few years into the Emily Carr. Well, Emily Carr would have turned in her grave if she saw what had happened in that time, because the old technique was gone. And so it was a stressful year or two for me until I found UBC. So I was going like 7 days a week. I was working in the bank on days that they would have me, Saturdays and Mondays. Every other day, including Sundays, Saturday nights or whatever, I would be at UBC taking sculpture, drawing, and I took life drawing for 4 or 5 days a week if I could stuff it in. And so 5 years went by and I was exhausted. But that was just like a little bit of ammunition. I didn't do the painting that I wanted. It was all sort of waiting to come to be, you know, the basics. I learned from other people. The technique, the masters, drawing of everything had been on hold. I don't know why, but in that time from 1970, well, in the 80s when I so-called graduated, but I felt that I was just beginning. I hadn't learned what I wanted. There was a little bit of ammunition there, but not much, because the masters were in Europe. So I started writing all over, and it wasn't, you know, until a few years later when I was living in Pemberton that I finally talked to somebody in New Brunswick after searching, and they said, "You're not going to find it here. You have to go to Europe." So I scooted to Europe. I went to Italy. And that was in '99. I took the history of Florence and Rome in that year. Then 2 years later, I went back and for 2 months took the painting with schools that taught right from scratch. Grinding oils, the medium that you use, how to lay out a portrait, and of course the many galleries and sculptures were just overwhelming. And so that was in 2001 when I completed the portraiture that I was hungering for, that just Canada didn't give me. And so 2 years later I went to Norway, and because the lady that I had met in Florence had a school in Norway, and it's the only classical school in Norway. So that was a treat. And after that, I just searching in every medium. Watercolor, of course people think that all I ever do is watercolors and flowers. That was because I couldn't stand the smell of oil paint here. That's why I went to Europe. You know, what you buy here, it stinks. Makes you sick. I couldn't stand it in the house. So that's why I did flowers and watercolor. And they work. Yeah, I guess I was supposed to do that because flowers are best with watercolor. I think they were made for each other. But landscape, it's all there. You know, everything you want to inspire you. You know, it's all what your eyes feel. And that one is, I did that about 2 years ago in the Caribou. My Norwegian uncle had a ranch there, and I've been going there every year for the last 10 or 15 years. And so the scenery gets me. The caribou and the color, you know, and like I said, the sunsets and the sunrises. The color is vivid that you just don't see anywhere else.
You said you'd driven by that several times.
I don't know how many times, and there was no blue sky. But I came around the corner that day, and wow. It was a hot day and lots of bugs, and I couldn't stay there. I took the pictures and I went back and started painting indoors. But I find now that, you know, I've had enough acrylic that I understand the medium, which I don't go back to because I don't find the depth of color as with the masters. The medium that the masters use was a pure medium, and the pigment that's used in it is what you see that gives it that beautiful deep color, pure color, because the medium is clean. It has no additives, or what you buy in Canada is has stearate and different other fillers that make it so that it's like a, oh, how do I describe it? It's not as smooth. Like egg yolk is one of the mediums that was used for years because it was smooth, easy to work with. But when you get into other thick mediums, well, that's why you see a lot of people applying with a big gall. I don't paint that way. I just don't see the point in it. And it's expensive. You can go through a tube of paint here in no time because it's full of fillers. There's some pigment, but it's so thin, so little compared to the rest of the so-called medium that's in that tube. And of course, it's 4 times the price. I mean, when I was in Italy, I bought a little tube of pure pigment, and that'll last me 10 years, maybe 20 years, as compared with a tube that size in Canada last year, maybe 2 or 3 months, if you're painting, you know, any great amount. So the quality is different, and of course, the observation and the subject matter. And now I just feel that, you know, it's all there.